boy is back. Your boy's back, the one and only the kid, El Nino. If you speak Spanish, I believe that's how you say the kid in Spanish. Your boy's back, Tommy D, the one and only, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you 2 flights up from where I get my coffee. I got a smiley face coffee cup, a little bit of the pink smiley face. I thought I'd go with that. Carol Berkowitz, you got a coffee cup there? What do you got? It says that awful moment when you realize that this is your circus and those are your monkeys. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Carol, just come off mute when you get a second. I gotta tell you, I love your coffee mug. I have 4 children, so I know about the circus. And sometimes I'm the ringmaster, and sometimes I'm the guy that travels behind the elephant picking up the poop. I think it's a if
Yes.
we're if
Yes.
we're gonna talk about a circus, man, I like to wear a top hat, but sometimes you got to get that shovel out too, man. All right, who knew where we were going? I was just trying to do count. I'm trying to count. I'm trying to count. I'm trying to count to 227 is what I'm counting to. Today is the 227th episode of a thing that was an idea for 2 years. I told people it had a logo. It had a theme. I may have even had a theme song pretty early on, and it had 0 episodes, but now 227. I used to watch a show called 227 back in the day. Do you remember
Yep.
that show?
I remember that show.
Sitcom. That was a
Oh
fun
yeah.
show with those ladies. They were like always hanging out and always getting into hijinks and stuff like that. So what a just a journey it is to be the nonprofit sector connector. I mean, it is fun. I get to do cool things. I was just telling my friend Carol Berkowitz in the green room, the virtual green room, as we say here in the biz, that I have a dog wedding to go to this afternoon here on Long Island. So Storm Angel and Tucker George are getting married, and this is because that Tucker is a service dog and is marrying Storm today. And this is to celebrate the bond between Operation Vest and Paws of War here on Long Island for the important work that they do for the veteran community. Operation Vest, Veterans Ending Suicide Together, and Paws of War. Many of you know Paws of War, partnering up canines and humans and giving people that connection that we need. And shout out to Cheeto, my dog, my guy Cheeto. Shout out to him. He don't get a lot of love on this show, but I'm gonna give him some love right now. Shout out Cheeto, we love you. Now he's gonna start barking, want to come to the attic. But our pets, our pets are so important, and we're gonna get into Carol. We'll get into talking about dogs and stuff later on in the program. But I'm going to get dressed. I'm gonna put another linen suit on and go to a dog wedding this afternoon. I actually asked if Cheeto could come to the wedding, but my friend Jenny, shout out to Jenny and Stefan Hespler, who founded Operation Vest. They do a big run uh, out in Suffolk County. I forget the name of the park. I'll Google it. It'll come to me. But they have certified service dogs only. Cheeto is not a certified service dog, so he is not going to the party. And plus, then I got a dog with me all day, and I can't really, I'm not as nimble when I got a dog with me all day. You know what I'm saying? So all right, episode 227. Carol and I only met recently. Shout out to, I got invited by my friend Suzanne Lasanti to an event for Wilmington Trust, which was it was at Suffolk Community College, I believe, that morning, right?
Yes. Yeah. Brentwood. Yeah.
In Brentwood. And you and I had the opportunity to talk. I actually got the opportunity to meet a new friend and colleague of mine, Paul Howard, who represents Satel Institute. I'm going to be doing some consulting work with Satel about around bringing business owners together in the focus for corporate social responsibility. So you'll see a lot of that here on Long Island. Those of you who are local, if you're not local, Google Satel, Satell Institute, and you'll see the story about Ed Satel, or just send me an email, Tommy D at philanthropyinfocus.com. And Focus, as you know by now, is Phocus. And if you don't know, now you know. All right, Carol Berkowitz, we are rocking and rolling. I'm excited. I met you that morning. We kind of hit it off, chat a little bit. You told me about your organization, and I said that is super important work. Since then, I've had the opportunity to come out and visit with you, go on a tour. Now we're here to talk about you, your journey, the importance of this organization. So, the organization is called Penates. Am I pronouncing it the right way?
Yes. That's close enough. It's Penates. Yes.
Penates. Penates. Okay, so I
Penates.
just got to think of a taser. Penates.
None of us really know. This was what it was named 30 odd years ago when it was founded.
Yep.
But so when I stepped into this role, I had to know what the name of the organization meant.
Right.
So Penates were the ancient Roman gods of the household.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
I Googled it. I Googled it. And
Yeah.
so I knew that too. Penates. Penates. That's how we're gonna say it. All right, Penates. All right, so let's just jump in. Here's the deal. I feel like we had some cool stuff going on, you and me. We started talking the first time we did a phone, like a Zoom call, we started talking about music. And I think it was the Colorado thing that threw me into this whole. Anytime somebody tells me they're from Colorado, by the way, shout out to Fee Fam who was on the show last week. I remember you jumped in on like, on comments. You were saying I'm a Colorado gal. So Fee Fam was on the show from Building Beats last week. Carol was listening and she mentioned
Red
Colorado.
Rocks.
I went on Red Rocks. I went on this whole Red Rocks riff because I saw a group that I love and listen to a lot called Revolution, and they were doing a show. They were the headliner at a show called Reggae on the Rocks, and they didn't probably go on until 9 o'clock at night. And I got there at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was just good music all day. And it was in Colorado. Fill in the blanks, gang. Fill in the blanks. So it was, it was a good old time, man. So let's figure this out, man. I want to know, Carol Berkowitz, because I know you didn't start out running a nonprofit on Long Island. You didn't even start out
Nope.
on. So I love the journey. You and I were talking about kind of career transition and how people can evolve and things like that. And I was just sitting here after we had that conversation because my brain is always moving. And I was like, man, Tommy D, you talk a lot about people changing careers and jobs and roles and stuff like that. You always wanted to be an attorney. And I have an 11:30 phone call. And the name of the phone call, because it was a Zoom call that was supposed to happen 6 weeks ago and got postponed. So it's called Four Attorneys and Tommy D. And that's the name of this Zoom call because it's me and four attorneys because I'm playing connector. And I was like, man, 47, maybe there's still some time for me to be an attorney at some point. So who knows? And I don't know if it's that I want to be an attorney or I just want to put ESQ after Tommy D. Tommy D.
It would look cool. Yeah.
I think it would. I think it would look super cool. So gang, if you want me to be an attorney, I don't know, call me. All right. What a life. All right, Carol, talk to me about your life, your journey. We're going to get into the organization, of course, but I want to know where did you start out? What was your vision for what you were going to do in your future? I want to hear the whole thing.
Oh boy, well, at the youngest age, I wanted to be Cher, so there was that goal,
I
and
love that.
then I grew up and had children and a family, and was just working as an office admin, and I'm a good office admin, but that was really soulless work.
Mm,
Was not feeding my soul. I was finding any excuse not, not to go in, whatever.
yeah.
Um, so when my youngest son, Sam, started high school, ninth grade, I went back to college full time, working full time, but going to college full time too. Um, and my goal at that point was I knew I wanted to give people without a voice a voice. So I was looking at the law actually as a way to do that, criminal justice. I thought maybe I could be a court appointed advocate or something like that. So I started my coursework, and there were classes like juvenile delinquency and different things like that. So I ended up, long story short, changing my major um, somewhat from just criminal justice to criminal justice with a human service emphasis.
Wow.
And I learned and this was in Colorado Springs. This was when I was 45 years old.
Yeah.
So, it's not too late.
I love that. But I want to stay there for a second. We're not going to lose
Sure.
momentum, I promise. But gang, it's not too late. Shout out to Gary V. Gary Vaynerchuk always talking about this, man. If you're 50, 60, 70, 80, if you're still here, gang, there's time to be doing things. You can make a
Yep.
change, make that. This word kind of got a negative bent to it, but that word pivot, it used to just be in basketball, CYO basketball and regular basketball, but it's like it became a whole thing during COVID. We had a pivot, But you can change, you can transform. At 45, you were making some different decisions. It's interesting. My mom went back to college because she was 21 when I was born. So she went back later, meaning
Right.
like much later, like probably similar to you. And, her
Mhm.
job was paying for it. And then she went back and got some additional, like after postgraduate, like after, towards her masters and stuff like that. So there's so much you can do at any age, man. There's no reason not to. So
Right.
let's get
Absolutely.
let's get into that. I wrote it down. Criminal justice with a human service, focus on it.
Yeah. It was it was every course I loved. It was like it was geared to my heart. But through that, I became aware from one of my professors that there was a homeless shelter for youth in Colorado Springs, and at the time it was called Urban Peak. Now it's called The Place. And I was flabbergasted to find out that there were homeless kids in my city. So this shelter was for 15 to 20-year-old youth with no home. And I started volunteering there. And then I got a job there part time in direct care, so working in the shelter with the kids. Meanwhile, bringing sandwiches with my son every Friday night. We would pack lunches for the kids to have on the weekends, stuff like that. And then I graduated, and I then became I maintained my direct care job there. I became their volunteer coordinator and the assistant to the deputy director. I interned there, and that place was my world. It was fantastic. The kids came from every walk of life. Their stories, when they were ready to share them, I was honored that they would come knocking on my door. Miss Carol, can I talk to you? What a gift. So it was hard to leave that job. But in Colorado and most other states, there's no safety net. And there weren't a lot of other places I could go in Colorado, to do human service work. So, but there's a ton of it here in New York. So if you want to do human service work, you want to be a social worker, a case manager, you want to get down in the trenches and help people, this is the place for you.
What does that mean, though? I want people to understand because I don't really
Mm.
grasp what you mean about the safety net. That there's no.
Safety net. So if you find yourself homeless or on the verge of homelessness, for whatever reason, and you're in any other state, pretty much, other than California, um, you're sleeping under a bridge. That's going to be your life, because there is no safety net of homeless shelters and programs, wraparound services and programs like there are here in New York. It's,
Really?
it's
Wow.
phenomenal. We pay higher tax, but you get a lot for that. You
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
actually, work with that.
Yeah, and excuse me, and it's interesting that even here in New York with the safety net, as you talk about, we still find that people are
Oh,
without and homeless and hungry and food insecure, housing insecure, experiencing just tragic situations. So I can only imagine how much more difficult it is for folks in other parts of the country, certainly. I was Googling like kindness and compassion and things this morning. Um, I just,
empathy.
yeah, and empathy. I mean, because these are themes I try, and I just Googled something, and I didn't even know I was going to read this, but I'm just going to read it right now. I haven't even really read it all the way through yet. But I typed in quotes about kindness, love, and homelessness, and I said, it says here, let your love be the kindness to make a homeless person believe that a soul needs something more than just four walls and a ceiling. Well, I guess that's good. But I think they also need four walls and a ceiling. As
They
I was
they
reading that sentence, I just said it. Um, you know, I was at an event last night, and a colleague in front of mine, Shannon Boyle, runs an organization called New Ground here on Long Island, which is breaking the cycle of homelessness in the veterans community. And Shannon was up there kind of at the podium because they were raffling off a golf foursome at her event, which I played in that golf outing many times. Shout out to my buddy Rod Gannis, who always brings me as his plus one. And he brought me as a plus one last night to that event, Rod. And Rod and I were talking and listening to Shannon. And Shannon laid out this story, Carol and everybody else, that it was like when we all left this place, which happened to be at, a swanky North Shore country club last night, right? This is where this dinner was. And we leave and we get in our cars and we drive to our home and we go and take our shoes off, and it's comfortable and it's warm when we want it to be warm and chilly when it's hot out and we want the air on and we want it to be chilly, and we have all that. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has that ability. And you and I talked about veterans because of the dog wedding that I'm going to. And again, thank you for your family service for sure. Um, I think it's an absolute travesty and a tragedy. I like those words interchangeable, but that we have homelessness, period, hard stop, on this planet. Then I get even more cranky about the fact that our veterans are homeless. Now, look, I know we can't solve everybody's problems, and we can't, some folks do not want to come in and do not want to be part of society slash communities and whatnot. But I think there are plenty of people who are out there would love, a hand up, would love to have an opportunity. And I think so it drives me bananas, and I don't have the answers. And I kind of get a little weirded out because I complain about stuff, but I don't have the answers, but I'm like, how do we allow a society? And here he goes. How do we allow a society where somebody can be eating $150 Kobe steak in Manhattan and 20 yards away, somebody's running,
Literally.
literally, right? Could be feet away, but right, 20 yards away, somebody's rummaging through a trash bin to find buffalo wings or the half of somebody's Whopper that they didn't eat from, the fast food joint or something like that. I can't grasp why that's okay. I don't understand it. I really, truly don't. Like, so it blows my mind.
It's not okay.
No.
It's not okay. And food waste, don't even get me started. Food
Yeah.
waste in this country is, France outlawed food waste decades ago.
It's never been, and I had I think it was Anthony Barrows I had on a few episodes ago from an organization called Lyft. And I've said this for a long time. This is not this is not a lack of resources. This is a lack of distribution and access. This is like, so like you cannot convince me, and you can't. I'm sorry, gang, you can't convince me. It's impossible that this is a lack of resources. There's food every the fact, and I'm trying not to get political, man, but the fact that there was all this food waiting in like a depot somewhere overseas to be brought to
Oh,
people, and it was just and it was like I saw the video again where they were talking to some, and I don't, this ain't a red or blue thing, gang. It's not about that. It's a freaking purple thing. It's called love. It's compassion, man. But there was
common
like,
sense.
like, come on, man. And the food was like, okay, the food's gonna expire. Okay, the food's gonna expire. And like, I think other countries are like, dude, we'll take the food and we will
Right.
transfer this food to people who need it. I'm trying not to make this political, but gang, we need to love each other. We need to find compassion. And if there is food and if there is housing, how do we not make it available to people? That's some of the stuff we'll talk about today. We can't solve it all, but you can. If you get involved with your local nonprofits, volunteer, get involved, do the work. I've totally taken the show into a totally different direction, but guess what? It's my show, so I get to do whatever I want. I do what I want. Like there's South Park. There was Eric
Hey,
Cartman.
Carmen. Yeah.
Remember Cartman? Like
I know
whatever, whatever. I'll do what I want. I love that. So a little bit of Tommy D embracing the Cartman inside of all of us. Whatever, I'll do what I want. All right. Whatever we're going to do right now is we're going to take a break, but we're going to get right back on track. Or I shall do my best to get us back on track into your story and the safety net here in New York, and when you came here to Long Island and that and how that story happened. How's that sound, Carol?
Sounds great. Thank you.
I'm glad I know you. I'm glad I met you. I'm glad you're in my life, Carol Berkowitz. I am Tommy D. We will be right back. The show is Philanthropy. Wait for it. In Focus.
Focus.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a purpose-driven individual looking for deeper healing, clarity, and growth? Welcome to the Expansion Room, a transformative space for purpose-driven individuals. I'm Siobhan Larice, host, licensed therapist, and coach. Join me every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
That is right. That's right. I mean, it's tough to cut through the static and join me in the attic because, like, if you were inside my head, there's a ton of static up there. So you can only imagine what it's like here in the attic. Listen, gang, we're trying to make the world a better place, trying to highlight the folks that are doing the great work. And Carol Berkowitz and her team are certainly doing the great work on the front lines. All right, back to the story. Meanwhile, back at the story you were trying to tell 7 minutes ago that I totally interrupted and took us off track.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You've watched the show, so you know how it go. There we go. That rhymes.
And I've watched this show so much lately that your theme song is an earworm every day of my life now.
I'll tell you, I used to, in the early days of this program, way back in the early days, in 2021, I used to like sort of threaten kiddingly my guests and be like, all right, by the third time we come back, you have to sing the song with me. Like I would make people, and I never made them do it, but I thought,
You don't want that.
yeah, that seemed to be kind of what most people would say. You don't want to hear that. So let's go. So you're coming back, or rather you leave. It sounds like you didn't want to leave that organization, in Colorado, but I want to ask you really quick. How old were you? You said Sam, your youngest, was going into high school. So how old was he? And you have older children as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how old were they in comparison to these children who are 15 to 20 years old who were homeless? I mean, there was
Same age.
Same age.
Same age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam was 14 and my oldest was, 20.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could see your own children in.
Yeah, as a parent, it just blew my mind that people throw their children away. Like I couldn't believe it. And I would, come home and hug mine extra hard.
Yeah. It's tough. So how do you end up getting to Long Island? And was that the next step? Is that what happens next?
Yeah, it was abrupt. I'll say that. I spent some time of my own in a DV shelter. And then I had some friends out here on Long Island that I only knew through a Facebook group, who were saying, come here, try it out here. You want to get out of where you are, give this a shot. And I had, invitations from family in California, and, I just needed to get away and make a fresh start with, my new career. I felt like that was the best thing for me at the time. So I did. I got all the stuff together that I was going to need, put it in storage. My mother and sister, I'm originally from Ohio. My mother and sister made room for me for a few weeks while I got my ducks in a row, lined up a bunch of job interviews here on Long Island. A friend flew to Cleveland where I was, and the two of us drove into Long Island together. I stayed with a friend in Huntington Station for a little bit before I found a place. And long story short, the friend that drove out with me from Cleveland, I ended up marrying 5 years ago.
Congratulations.
So he's my bestest friend. And shout out to Alan.
What up, Alan? Hope to meet you soon.
And he is working for DDI, Developmental Disabilities Institute.
Oh,
He's been there for 40 years. So
for how long? 4 or 40?
40, almost 40 years. His
DDI.
full adult life. Yeah.
Wow. Shout out to DDI. Just a great organization. My friend Jennifer Carpenter-Lowe is out there. She's doing a lot of the public relations, community relations, engagement, development, all that cool stuff. So I actually went to a movie that they played. Oh my goodness, Tommy, get it right. Unseen which was a film about families with who are raising a child who has pretty severe, and not just one family, but this grouping of families who have a child with severe disabilities and the struggle that it is when, yeah, unseen. Well,
That sounds really
yeah,
interesting.
they did a showing. I'm gonna forget where, but it was in like Bayshore or Babylon or something like that here in the island. But we'll work that out behind the scenes. But so shout out to Alan. So how the world's all come together. So how was I'm gonna try to say it the right way. Penates. Was that your first quote unquote stop when you like you said you had some interviews lined up? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I interviewed with another organization who I don't, in fact, I don't know if I've covered what our organization does. We are a county contractor, Suffolk County contractor. We provide emergency temporary housing for individuals and families experiencing homelessness. So I worked for another agency who are they they went defunct a few years ago, and their shelters got, I think, farmed out to some other nonprofits. But I worked there for about 8 months, and then I came to Penates, and I was managing. We had a men's shelter in Port Destination, so I was managing that. It was a small shelter. So I was the social worker, the case manager, the house manager, wearing all those hats, but learning everything I needed to learn to work in this system, because this system here is so different from where I came from when there really was no system. So I was trying to get knowledge. I managed that shelter for a couple of years. And then I went to a larger agency. I learned a lot more about the various housing programs available to various, people and families. But I kept my foot in the door at Penates, working an overnight shift every Friday night at the shelter that I had previously managed. And then COVID hit, and they needed some help. The previous director needed help here at the office. Her assistant was she was sick with COVID. I think her husband passed away. It was just bad. So I said, you know what? I'm a good admin assistant. I'll learn to be your executive assistant. And we did that. And a year later, she retired and offered me the position, because I kind of knew both sides of the fence. I had that balance, and I thought, it's not a bad choice. I wasn't prepared for it. I had not planned on it, but I couldn't see this agency just shrivel up and go away, because the people here, our staff, they're just great. They're good people, and I could see that the agency was in trouble, and I didn't want anybody to lose their job. Myself, but the 50 or 60 staff we had at that time, you're going to lose your job during COVID? Are you kidding me? So I made it my mission to keep this little engine going.
I love that. And you and I have had separate conversations around how important it is, how important your staff is and how much you value them. And you want to make sure, and as it relates to, I never really talk about my business on here, but, Vanguard Benefits, we talk about culture, we talk about caring for people, we talk about the culture of caring. It's in fact one of the tenets of our company. So I'm often in these conversations where folks are talking about, I really value my people. I want to do what I can for my people. And meaning, the staff, the associates. And I think so much, and I will get kind of a little bit of a commercial for what we do in the world at Vanguard is, we work with companies that value their people, and we help structure benefits plans and culture and engagement and things like that. And it's a big part of what we do. I mean, listen, I got a guy from, he's actually this guy that I talked about earlier, Paul Howard from Satel Institute, who you and I met the same day I met Paul. And that's just the thing about putting yourself in a room, gang. I wasn't exactly totally invited originally to that event, but my friend was asked to be on the panel discussion, and I said to her, "You must do this," and not to betray any confidence, whatever, but she I had to just give her a little push, not physically, but just like, hey, man, go for this. And then once she was doing it, I was like, can you get me an invitation to that event now? So so I was supposed to be there, but because I've eventually got an invitation. But my point is, put yourself in these rooms, man, because you don't meet Carol Berkowitz, Tommy D, or you don't meet Paul Howard. And you know, Paul made a trip out that day from Philly. He's from the UK originally, but he made a trip from Philly out there. And that meeting was not late in the morning. It was probably 9 o'clock, 9:30,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's about being in those rooms. I'm going on tangent, but it's about being in the rooms, being available, making those connections, because without the connections and the relationships, none of this stuff happens, you know? So you're I've in only in the short time I've known you, you've told me so many times how important the staff is to you. And to hear it again here, it just reminds me that, leadership can be many things. And I don't really think it's the thing that where I see some leaders who just yell at people and holler, and I don't actually think that's leadership. I think that's something else.
That's
But
bullying.
yeah, I don't think I don't think it works. I think it makes people scared and fearful where they should feel like they're appreciated and that
And heard.
thank you, and heard, and that the leader is there. You know what I always thought was cool? When a leader said, first of all, I hate when people say, I work for this person or I work for that person. I hate words. No, strike that. I love words. Words have meaning. I hate words like that. Like I work for this person. Like I've been in sales my whole life and people would say, so who do you work for? I go, myself, my wife, my children. That's who I work. But they meant like, whose sales team were you on? I'm like, mine still. Right. But like, cause they would say, oh, you work for Rich or you work for Susie. No, not at all. And the right leader would be like, I work for you, meaning, right, like the sales manager, the vice president of this. And that's what I'm hearing, Carol, with you and many of the folks in my world, in my sphere. Because like when I'm talking to, Yolanda Rabano Gross or Jeff McQueen over at Mental Health Association Nassau County, or Dr. Jeffrey Reynolds over at FCA, they're like, I'm here to support these folks because these people are supporting the people we serve, Tommy D. And that's it. And now I'm on my soapbox and I know you guys get it. Don't change the channel. He's gonna chill out. He's gonna come back to earth for you. But that's why you come back anyway, gang. You know it. Because we're doing the right thing here and we're highlighting the right work. So I know how important that was for you. So believe it or not, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll kind of come back to that piece there, like where you took on the role. It was like, and you said there's something here and I got to be a part of it. And that's going to take us to the next step. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, gang, how's that sound for the rest of you? I don't know, because you can't answer me unless you send me a message on one of these platforms. Like we're streaming on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitch and X and something else, Talk Radio NYC and YouTube. And but if you want to get in touch with me, send us something. But for now, you're just gonna have to deal with the show the way we're doing it, because you're not here and we are. Right back.
Misalignment within your sales team or with the client stalls deals and creates unnecessary friction for you and the client, resulting in up to 37% lower win rate. If you're in pre-sales, sales management, or sales enablement, and you'd like to increase revenues, win rate, margins, client satisfaction, and stay competitive, this show is for you. Hi, I'm Art Fromm, host of the Making Seamless Sales Show. Please join me live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marcanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
My man, Tommy D, the one and only. You know, I'm getting honored next Friday night. Shout out to Options for Community Living. It is the Mafia Marriage, Murder, Mystery Event, Death of a Gangster. Hopefully not this gangster that dies that night. I don't think so, but we hope not. But I'm gonna have to give a speech, and I decided in the speech, you know, I only have like 2 minutes, and which is that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. So my friend, shout out to Melissa Pulcinelli, who runs development over there at Options for Community Living, who's been like my comrade as we go through this whole process. And they're doing like the seating chart today, all this kind of stuff. So there's like still a handful of tickets. I think like 5 tickets left. If anybody wants, go to optionscl.org, optionscl.org, or hit me up, Tommy D at Philanthropy and Phocus.com, and I'll get you connected with Melissa Pulcinelli. But I was like saying, like, you know, it sounds like crazy, but you know, I think when I'm saying the speech next week, I'm gonna thank me. Because honestly, all kidding aside, not the arrogance, not even the ego, but like we gotta love ourselves, man. And we gotta appreciate and be grateful for ourselves. And I'm not always good at that. And you know, I'm about hashtag ending the stigma together, all about mental health, gang, right? And dude, if you do really cool stuff in the world, like that's so important. So be grateful for yourself, be grateful for the work. And plus, I think in a room full of 215 people, it'll get a rise out of people when I say, and most of all, I'd like to thank Tommy D. So I think they would get a kick out of that. And
Yes.
I'm there to entertain. So if you're listening and you see me next week, now you know one of my secrets. But if you're not, you don't know. All right. So Carol, you say I have to take on the leadership here at this organization to take care of the people, to steward the organization, make sure it's existing not only for the people the organization serves, but for your people, your associates. So let's talk about you take on the role. When was that?
4 years ago, this past July.
No kidding. Okay. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know, probably for the first year, it was a bit like unpeeling an onion.
Yeah.
And seeing really what was under those layers that hadn't been looked at or taken care of in a long time, or if ever.
Mhm.
So there were relationships to build. A board of directors needed to be put in place.
Sure.
You know, just the basics. But yeah, and I didn't want to come in and shake everything up. You can't do that to people we have staff here who've been with us more than 20 years. You can't come in and overnight change everything. So you have to, you know, pick and choose what's really important. What is your priority, and go with that.
How do you throttle and go like, look, there definitely needs to be some change? Because I think this is important for anybody to think about themselves, think about their business, think about a nonprofit that they might be running or founding or whatever. Like, how do you decide, like, okay, we can't shake the whole thing up? Like, so you started to say, like, we had to figure out what priorities to focus on.
Yeah, and for me, that was making sure that staff was being taken care of, so that they could do the hard work that they do every day. And I knew that because I was one of them, didn't necessarily feel appreciated salary-wise or culture-wise. So the culture was a bit toxic. I didn't want that for anybody. So, you know, removing those toxic elements was important over that first year to 2 years, really. And then we are a county contractor, and we do have to submit our budget to the county, and you know, that is who pays us to do our work.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody had ever asked them for more than the bare minimum before, and that wasn't helpful.
So so if I'm reading between the lines, there may have been more available dollars to drive to the organization, and it just hadn't been
This hadn't
discussed.
been done because that relationship with the county hadn't been built.
Okay.
And so it's been really important to build good relationships with people and with the county, with the state. So Suffolk County Department of Social Services oversees us on a local level, and on a state level, it's the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance, OTDA.
So are you naturally, I mean, listen, you and I hit it off. We're friends, right? But like, are you naturally a relationship builder, like a bridge builder? Like, did that part of the role and responsibility, did that come natural for you?
It did come naturally for me because I'm a Midwestern girl.
Yeah.
And that's how I was raised. Just be nice to people. My mother was, she volunteered her whole life. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was running the Red Cross and church offices. And, so that was my example.
Yeah. That's the story.
Needed to pay bills. So I try to find an area where I could do those good things and feed my family.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it's great to you get, you remember those stories with your mom, and you see, like, I know for a fact, like, I have not always been like the best dude around, but I know for like the last 10 years, I've been pretty good. And why that's most important to me is because there's a lot of small people, although they're not so small anymore, but there's small people who live in this home that watch what Tommy D does in the world. And, maybe now, probably not, but like maybe 5 years now, 10 years, 15 years from now, they'll be able to say, like, I saw this guy doing all these really good things for people. And that's not really about me. It's more about that if they're ever interviewed on a show, they'll be able to say, well, I do this stuff and I care and I get involved because I can't believe I'm going to say this, but they're going to go, because I watch my old man. If anybody calls me their old man, gang, you're going to get in trouble. But because I watch my old man do these things, and that's what drives the work. That's what drives it, is like, and it's not just trying to inspire my own children, because when I stand up there next Friday night and I give this speech, it's going to be about, like, get involved, reach out to people. Love, compassion. I'm going to say the thing I say all the time. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always.
Always.
Be kind always, Carol, right? I mean, come on, that's all we're talking about. And if ever in history there was a time we need to be kind, well, it's today. And that's this week and last week and probably next week. Let's be kind. And that's if we start there with kindness and love and compassion, where I believe many of us are not starting there. We're starting this other crappy place. I don't curse on the show, so I'll say crappy place, but please don't do. Please meet and find ways to dialogue and speak. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a break early this time and come back, because I want you to tell me about the programs, what the organization looks like day in and day out, and how we can help. Because we've had so many things. You're gonna have to come back, because this is definitely one of these shows where you can go for days. I mean, you're one of my friends that, like, if they could record our phone calls and make those into a podcast, it'd be a good show. Okay. So let's take a break. The show is Philanthropy and Focus. Carol Berkowitz and I are going to come back, and she's going to tell me the tour we went on, what it is you all do, how people are being taken care of. Is that good, Carol?
That's great. Thank you.
Right. We are here to serve Philanthropy and Focus. Right back.
On Frank About Health, we're not just talking healthcare. We're managing disruption and innovation. Over the last 4 years, I've taken you from epilepsy and COVID to mental health, caregiving, and now the front lines of healthcare transformation. Stay tuned for a healthier future as we bring on the innovators, professionals, storytellers, and advocates who show you how to own your healthcare every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
Ready to serve up success with a splash? Hi, I'm Bruce Kramer, a.k.a. the Corporate Cockroach.
I'm the Renaissance woman, Angie Snowball.
And I'm your strategy doctor, Dr. Meltesh Desange, inviting you to serving up success with a splash.
Join us as we shake things up with real talk and real strategies centered around awareness, action, and accountability.
And yes, there really is a cocktail involved. Please join us and sip your way to success.
Serving up success with a splash, where wisdom meets happy hours. Cheers!
Cheers.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
All right. Join me in the attic. All right, before we get back at it, here's two things I got to mention. I didn't know I was going to mention this, but I just heard that ad for that show on the network here where they cocktails and they're, networking and really cool ideas and stuff like that. So I feel it's important to say, gang, because I tell you about the ADHD, I tell you about them in therapy. I want to tell you, Sunday morning when I wake up, it'll be 15 years since I've had a sip, since they talk about cocktails and conversations itself. So 15 years not having a sip of alcohol in this body. And I tell you that just because I want to say, gang, that's something that anybody can do. All right. I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I didn't know what I built this character up called Tommy D, and I didn't know if it was a character with the drink or if it was a character or if it was me or any of that stuff. But I will tell you, well, if you know me now, it's still the same guy. But I would say to you, let's break the stigma around substance abuse. Let's break the stigma around mental health issues. Let's end stigma. Let's do that all together. Let's end the stigma around people living with HIV and AIDS. Let's end the stigma on homelessness, people experiencing homelessness. Let's just crack it all out. Let's be kind. Carol Berkowitz, in that theme, what does your organization do? What are you guys doing? How do you do the work? How can we help?
So we meet each client, resident, when they come in, and the primary goal, obviously, for everyone, this is emergency housing. What is your plan for permanent housing? What does that look like for you? And how can we help you get there? What barriers are in the way of you being able to rent your own or own your own, whatever, your own space? Is it mental health? Is it education? Is it a job? Is it whatever it is? So staff, we have on-site intensive case management. We have social worker on-site, housing supervisor, housing specialist, and obviously our program directors at each shelter. They all work together as a team, to help each family or individual along the way. And so that's what we do, or we try to do. We refer a lot of people out to other nonprofits in the community. You mentioned Options, so that we work with Options and Concern for spa housing, which is, for people who don't know, permanent housing solution for people with co-occurring mental health and medical health disorders. And it's a great program. So we help people get into spa housing. We help people get in. Sometimes all we can do is a room and board situation. Sometimes there are vouchers available. Sometimes there are HUD funds available, but those go away pretty quickly. So our staff keeps up with, everything that's available and going on, and tries with every client to match them up with a program or get them that far.
It's
on them.
Yeah, it's daunting though for folks, right? I mean, maybe they're coming out of a DV, domestic violence situation, maybe they're coming out of some other super challenging situation, and things can get clearer and easier when you're in a warm setting, in a warm home, when you're clean and you have somewhere to rest your head at night, somewhere safe to rest your head at night, right? Then we can work on other things. Right. It's daunting, and it's, I think, scary, right? For these people that are meeting you for the first time. I want to just, if somebody needs services like this now, what's the best way for them can they contact Penates? What would you suggest?
So all of our clients are placed through Suffolk County Department of Social Services. So you've got to go to DSS and start to open your case. But if you are homeless now, you can call DSS, or if it's after hours, you can call the Suffolk County Emergency Housing Hotline and get placed. May not be with us, but there are many other shelter providers out here. There are probably around 200 shelters in Suffolk County, or on Long Island, I should say. And they're homes right in your neighborhood. These are not institutional settings, at least ours are not. Some agencies run shelters in motels. But our shelters are all run in homes, in neighborhoods. We try to be the best neighbor that we can, so that we're flying under the radar and not being, not living up to the stigma.
Yeah, because shout out to talking about stigma. I mean, like this whole NIMBY thing is like, you don't know NIMBY, gang. He sucks, that guy NIMBY. No, it's an acronym, right, for not in my backyard. Well, if not in your backyard or my backyard, well, then whose backyard? Because these are our friends and our family, and we're one human race, right? So that's we need to find the love and the compassion and stop this nonsense. My opinion, right? Goes back to $150 Kobe steak and a half a Whopper out of a garbage pail. What are we doing, right? What are we doing? So, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was going to say, so the housing first model is what some states have used, some counties, cities, and it's very successful because once you get somebody permanently off the streets, they can put down roots, they can get a job. How are you going to send somebody living under a bridge who doesn't have anywhere to take a shower or clean their clothes? You're going to go find a job. Who's going to hire that person? They can't even go for an interview. So if you do housing first, you save so much money because that person now has a stable base and they can start progressing with case management. They still get case management in the housing first model, but that model is not being run here. That's really what I would love to see.
Where, you mean in Suffolk County? You mean in New York?
Not being run in New York, as far as I know.
Housing first.
That's called housing first, and it's very effective. You mentioned domestic violence too. We do have a women's shelter. It's not specifically domestic violence, but obviously many women are coming from a domestic violence background. And we were honored to be invited into Brooklyn last week for a get together at the Urban Resource Institute shelter in Brooklyn, partnering with this organization.
My dog is my home. I love it. Yep.
And so we're talking about co-sheltering people with their pets, and that's not happening out here at all. And many people, families, women will not leave a domestic violence situation if they can't bring their pet.
Yep.
Pets are often used as leverage. I won't even go down that road. It's disgusting. But so we're actually in conversations now. I think about 30 people were there, about 20 different organizations, which is, I'm optimistic. And we have actually written a proposal and received approval from the state to start running a pet-friendly program. Yes, I'm so excited.
Cheeto, we got great news. We got great news for other pets. You know what it is? And I know that, and we had a friend of ours on another show we do called the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, Pals, and friend Jennifer from LIADV, Long Island Against Domestic Violence, and I think they're in Nassau County. But I don't know if they serve Suffolk, but they're one of the only one of the only DV shelters, domestic violence shelters, that does have pets. So I learned a lot that does have facilities that can take in a family with pets, because like you just said, if somebody's trying to leave a challenging and traumatic situation, they're worried about their animal, and if a shelter can't take an animal. So I know that's something that is an ambition of Penates to be able to serve that population.
Absolutely. That pet is their comfort, and they are that pet's comfort. And our pet shelters, our animal shelters they're full. They can't take anymore.
Yeah.
So let's keep people together. It just makes sense. Keep your with their pets. It's not brain surgery. It's really not.
No, no, and if anybody tries to take Cheeto away from me, we're gonna have major problems. So
Right. That's right.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Tough Tommy D is here. All right, so shout out to my friend for life, Robert Rosner. You know, he's my friend. He sent me an email during the show just now, and he goes, "Congrats on 227. Hopefully 227 more." Robert, you know better. There's a plan of 5,000. I will do 5,000 episodes of this show. 5,000. And what's going to have to happen is I'm going to do the show every morning from Monday through Friday because that's how you sort of like you can't do this. I will not live long enough unless my AI Tommy D is doing the show every Friday morning in, I don't know, 2065 or something like that. But the thing is, like, Robert has been a friend for a long time, running a great practice out just outside Atlanta, Georgia, in the life insurance space, and he is my friend for life. And Robert, I appreciate it. One day we're going to get you to figure out how to use the YouTube so you can watch the show and just not listen to it on talkradio.nyc. So I know you like that, and I know you're laughing, Robert. So love you. All right. So Carol, what does the organization need before we end the show today? What do you need?
Well, I need a social worker. We need a social worker at our family shelter. This needs to be somebody who is very high energy and has great ideas and wants to put them into practice. We also could use donations. I can't ask for staff appreciation funds in my budget, but I really want to be able to have an official program for my staff appreciation. I don't know if they realize how much I appreciate them. I try to tell them, but summer day camp. We just ran a summer day camp at our family shelter this past summer. It was fantastic. I would love for that not to have to be a big chunk of budget. So donations towards that. And
what did that cost to do camp?
It was about $3,500, which is not bad. It was about 24 children. We did it Monday through Thursday from 10 to 2. The school district provided food, so that was wonderful. We had some community involvement with shout out to Crafty Hands of Bayshore, coming out every Wednesday and doing really fun art projects with our kids. And then at the end of it all, we had a little carnival. But we had, some of those funds were for staff. We had, specific staff assigned to the day camp program, and they were superstars. It was just, I was proud every day.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about two of these things, like offline, we'll catch up, but like that staff appreciation thing, I want to know what that would look like. And that summer camp, I think we should talk in like March or April of next year and try to come up with a strategy as far as maybe getting a donor, somebody in my network, in my community that might be able to partner up with that. It could be somebody in the attic right now by me. I don't know. We'll talk about it because I can't help myself. So I want to talk to you about that camp thing, but let's see where we can add some impact. I love that. I know you, Carol. This is a great beginning. The last couple months, getting to know you, getting to know your organization. It's my expectation that you're stuck with me. So I'll be around a lot.
There are worse things.
Yeah, I know there are. Yeah, it's better than a sharp stick in the eye hanging out with Tommy. So, Carol, thank you so much. If people want to know more about the organization, what can they call
they can call us. Our number is 631. We just changed numbers. 665-2986. You can also message me through our Facebook page.
Yeah, I noticed Facebook is where you guys are really, that's kind of where Penates is. So
at the moment, yeah,
I see that. So, all right. So listen, gang, this show is called Philanthropy Focus. Carol, I really appreciate you and all the hard work you and your team are doing. I know that we're going to stay close on a lot of things. Gang, stay close to your nonprofit, stay close to your people, check in on each other, give out hugs, give them out. They're free, gang. It's free. Plus, if you give a hug and you're getting a hug, it feels really good. I don't know if
dopamine.
Dude, all the oxytocin and the dopamine that comes out of a hug. And gang, this is going to sound really strange, but like hug yourself sometimes, man. Just like self-love. Take care of you. I'll take care of me. And then we can take care of each other. Make it a great day. The one and only, the kid. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.